Saint Anthony Zaccaria, priest, and Saint Elizabeth of Portugal. This reflection is prepared by Father Aube Francis, pastor at St. Jude Church, Grand Rapids, Michigan, USA. Saint Anthony Zaccaria, priest, feast day, July 5th, founder of the Barnabites and Angelic Sisters of St. Paul, patron of physicians, reformers, and youth in spiritual formation. Early life and vocation. Saint Anthony Zaccaria was born in 1502 in Cremona, Italy, to a noble family. His father died when Anthony was only 2 years old, and his mother raised him with deep Christian values. From an early age, he showed strong faith and compassion, especially toward the poor. Anthony studied medicine at the University of Padua and became a physician. However, he soon realized that the greatest healing comes from God, and he felt a strong call to the priesthood. He was ordained at the age of 26. Priestly ministry and reform. Saint Anthony lived during the time of the Protestant Reformation and the Catholic Counter-Reformation. The Church was in need of spiritual renewal. Seeing the moral decline among clergy and laity alike, Anthony sought to bring about reform through preaching, catechesis, and devotion. In 1530, he founded the Clerics Regular of St. Paul, commonly known as the Barnabites, named after St. Barnabas, whose church in Milan they were entrusted with. He also co-founded the Angelic Sisters of St. Paul and the Laity of St. Paul. These groups were focused on revitalizing Christian life through Eucharistic devotion, frequent confession, and deep spiritual renewal. He promoted public preaching of missions, Eucharistic adoration, especially the 40 hours devotion, and a return to the fervor of early Christianity. He worked tirelessly for both clergy reform and lay renewal. Death and canonization. Saint Anthony Zaccaria died young on July 5, 1539, at the age of 36, worn out by his tireless missionary labors. His sanctity was widely recognized, and he was beatified in 1890 and canonized in 1897 by Pope Leo XIII. Lessons from Saint Anthony Zaccaria's life. 1. True healing begins with the soul. 2. Young people can be powerful agents of reform. 3. Prayer and action must go hand in hand in ministry. 4. Love for the Eucharist transforms the Church. 5. Spiritual renewal must begin with the self. Saint Elizabeth of Portugal, feast day, July 5th, celebrated in USA, queen, peacemaker, and widow, patron of peace, charity, and reconciliation. Early life and royal marriage. Saint Elizabeth was born in 1271 in Zaragoza, Spain, the daughter of King Peter III of Aragon. Named after her great aunt, Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, she was raised in deep piety and prayer. At age 12, she was married to King Denis of Portugal, a wise but worldly ruler. Elizabeth lived out her royal duties with humility and devotion, using her position to promote justice and care for the poor. Peacemaker and woman of charity. Elizabeth was a woman of profound inner strength and diplomacy. Her marriage was tested by her husband's infidelities, yet she responded with forgiveness, prayer, and patience. She was a true peacemaker, often mediating disputes between warring family members and kingdoms. One of her most famous acts of peacemaking occurred when she rode on horseback between two armies, her own sons and her husband's, to stop a battle and broker peace. Elizabeth was known for her works of mercy, building hospitals, feeding the poor, founding monasteries, and distributing her royal wealth in acts of charity. Widowhood and religious life. After King Denis's death in 1325, she retired to a convent of Poor Clares in Coimbra, Portugal, but did not take final vows, preferring to remain free to continue her works of peace and mercy. She died on July 4, 1336, while on a journey to reconcile her son with the King of Castile. She was canonized by Pope Urban VIII in 1625, and she is still honored as a model of Christian queenship, charity, and reconciliation. Lessons from Saint Elizabeth of Portugal's life. 1. Holiness is possible even in high office and royal life. 2. Forgiveness is more powerful than resentment. 3. Peacemaking often demands courage and humility. 4. Charity begins at home but flows to all in need. 5. A life of prayer can change even political and family conflicts. Reflection question: how can I, in my own life, whether in ministry, family, or society, be a voice of peace, a heart of mercy, and a light of reform, like St. Anthony Zaccaria and St. Elizabeth of Portugal?